The thing with the residential property market is it's extremely competitive. You tend to find buyers that only want to buy when the market's an easy landscape, and that time's not going to come. I mean, what we find is the only time the market softens is when there's a major change happening in I guess the fundamentals. Might be economic, it might be political, or it could be in banking regulation, and then fear obviously rips through everyone's mindset and they don't want to invest in either. So there isn't a perfect time to do it, and I think you need to be willing to compete. You need to be willing to do homework on lots of different suburbs and areas, and really have quite a few properties under due diligence, because they're not all going to come off. Then if you want to look at it from the different property styles, I mean, there's apartments, there's townhouses and houses, and we see the apartments a little bit sketchy at the moment based on a lot of supply and where they're located, which tends to be in a city, and people wanting to get out of apartments and consider townhouses or houses. They want more space. And we tend to see that as always being the case from a long-term investment point of view. You want to stick to landed assets, stick to houses, and if you can't afford houses, obviously townhouses would be the second best option. So what we're seeing is immense competition on these houses. A lot of people moving out of single fronts into double fronts. They want more space. They need to try and find a room at home where it can be a full-time office. So the shift in the working landscape, the shift in how we see the home environment is definitely pushing people into that housing space. We're also wanting to have access to more things within that 5K radius. It's almost like that lockdown has taught us, well, what do I have close to home? And how good is my lifestyle? And is it worth paying a little bit more? And the other side to it is the debt side. I mean, it just seems to be that no one's debt adverse at the moment. We're happy to take on as much as we need to get the right house. And we're not as focused on the volume of debt, we're more focused on the repayment. So all of those things are really driving the property market. So I think if you're a pure investor, you've got to know you're up against owner occupiers. It's definitely a really good time to be considering something outside the norm.